This is something for the Department of Justice. This is an issue that they're dealing with, and we leave that to them. As I mentioned, my White House colleagues at the counsel's office put out a statement on this. They were more specific on that, and so I certainly would refer you to my colleagues and to the Department of Justice.
Just on the debt limit, at the risk of dating myself, I was here back in 2011 during the debt ceiling fight then, and due in part to the gridlock over that issue, S&P downgraded the nation's credit ratings, markets plummeted, interest rates increased, the country's borrowing costs went up by more than $1 billion. Is the president risking the same and Congress by dragging out this process?
It's not the president that's risking this.
Well,
it is It is Congress. It is Congress that is risking this. These political stunts that you're seeing from Speaker McCarthy and the MAGA wing, this is dangerous. These are political stunts that will have long-lasting effects, as you just laid out. This is something that they can easily deal with immediately by putting a piece of legislation on the floor to deal with not defaulting. This is their constitutional duty. We should not have to negotiate on this. We should not be doing this with conditions. They were able to do this 3 times under the last administration, a Republican administration.
But doesn't everyone bear responsibility, including and especially the president?
The responsibility to make sure that we do not default, it sits in the hands of Congress. And right now, it is Speaker McCarthy and the MAGA wing, pardon me, of the Republican conference. It is up to them to get this done. They are wasting time. And I've already laid out what they did propose, how much that's going to hurt American families who are trying to make ends meet.
But the president said, show me your budget. He didn't say, show me a budget that I agree with. Speaker McCarthy put forward.
Well, you have to finish the statement. He said, well, you have to finish what he said. The statement that he made, his quote is, show me your budget and I'll show you what you value. That's what the president said. And by looking at this blueprint, by looking at the plan, they are certainly showing us their value.
I guess the question is, isn't the ball in the president's court?
I already answered the question, Kristen, many, many times. This is a constitutional duty that Congress has, and Speaker McCarthy is playing games. He is wasting the time of the American people. This is a political stunt, and he has to act. He has to act. And what he showed us yesterday, he aligned himself with the MAGA wing of the party. Go ahead, Ken.
Just the Problem Solvers Caucus wants the suspension of the debt limit to be paired with this creation of a bipartisan fiscal commission. Is the president in favor of some kind of commission that would look at long-term spending, debt, how to corral that problem?
So look, we have a very good relationship with the Problem Solving Caucus. I don't have anything to say about this specific matter. We believe that it is up to Congress, whatever tools they need or mechanism they need to move this forward. But again, I'm just not going to comment on any specific mechanism.
And then just on the call with Macron that you mentioned at the top, do you have a rundown of what they're going to talk about? And is this in response to some of Macron's comments earlier in the month about Taiwan and China?
So I don't have anything else to add to the readout. There was a readout, and so I will share that the president will have the opportunity to speak with the President Macron later today. So there will be a readout, but I'm just not going to go get ahead of that conversation and what may be discussed. I'll try to go to the back. Go ahead, Phil, in the back.
Thank you so much. On guns, following the recent tragedies, there is a renewed debate about so-called stand your ground laws. Quite a number of experts and activists say that these laws actually promote violence, fuel gun violence. So what's the administration take on this?
So what our take on this is that Congress needs to act. I laid out at the top of the briefing what we have seen state houses do in some states who have taken action in banning assault weapons, which we lift up and we appreciate. But now we need to see congressional members, Republican congressional members, take action. We need to see them put forth common sense laws as it relates to guns. And so we need to see that type of reform. We need to stop what we're seeing, this epidemic of gun violence across our country, in our schools, in our churches, in grocery stores. We have to do everything that we can to stop. This is a president who's taken action over and over again. He's taken historic action, putting forth executive actions in the first 2 years more than any other president. And so what we're saying, and we're going to be very clear, the president's going to use his bully pulpit to continue to pressure Congress to take action. That's what we need. That's what the American people deserve. That's what our kids deserve. That's what our communities deserve. And that's what we're going to continue to call for. I'm going to continue to go back. Go ahead, Phil.
Thank you. I've got two quick questions. The president ended the COVID emergency earlier this month, and one of the things the House Republicans are calling for is for some of the unspent pandemic emergency funding to be clawed back. With the president, I know he has a reputation during the Obama administration as being the sheriff when it comes to rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse. Would he at least be interested in reviewing whether there is some of that money that could be returned to Treasury?
I mean, look, here's the thing. What the president has been able to do in this first 2 years of this administration is deal with a pandemic, a once-in-a-generation pandemic, by putting forth a comprehensive plan. You think about the American Rescue Plan, what it was able to do. No Republican voted for that. And so we use that money to actually be in a different place than we are today. COVID is not over, but we are in a different place. And so it is bizarre after the progress that we have seen for Republicans to be asking this. But the president, when he came in, nothing was being done. He made sure that the economy came back in a way that we haven't seen in some time by making sure we created more than 12 million jobs. He made sure that people had shots in arms. He made sure that we were to come out of this pandemic. Again, COVID is not over, but we are certainly in a different place than we have been before because of what the president has done and the action that he took. And so to claw back money after having the successes that we have seen because of this president's action, it just doesn't make sense to me. I got to keep going. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Wanted to follow up on the White House's proposal to mandate that 2/3 of all passenger vehicles by the year of 2032 be electric. It's a lot of batteries, obviously. So does the administration have a concrete plan to ensure that those raw materials for these new EVs, either through federal support or some type of motivation for the private sector, that those EVs don't end up coming from China and we don't become dependent on a foreign power that might not be friendly to us?
So here's what I can say. Every step that the president has taken is to build more here in America. That's every step that he's taken. To bring investments and jobs back to America, to build supply chains here in America, and that's what's happening. And already the private sector has invested more than $120 billion to build more electric cars and batteries here in America. And that is because that is what the president has wanted to do and put forth, and he wants to make sure, right, we are building here, right here in the United States. I'm going to keep going. I'm trying to call someone I have. Go ahead, Alex, in the back. Go ahead, Alex.
There's been a devastating gas shortage in South Florida. Is this administration working with Governor DeSantis and other Florida lawmakers to alleviate that and to make sure people are able to, fill their tanks?
So look, we're closely monitoring the situation in Florida right now, and our administration has been in touch with the state to offer assistance. The EPA is quickly processing a request it received from the state today to expand the available supply of gas in the region, and so we stand ready to do the same for any additional request assistance that comes from the states or that the state makes. And so again, we are monitoring, we are offering assistance, and then let me just continue to go around.
Great. So you've been talking about the president and McCarthy meeting, but are there conversations taking place at this point between White House staff and House leadership staff, House Republican leadership
So
staff?
I've said this before, we have been in constant communication. That is still continuing. We have been in constant communication at the president's direction with House leadership for many weeks now, for months now, and so of course that's continuing.
And any reaction to the SpaceX Starship rocket that exploded after launch today?
So I saw those reports. I don't have a reaction at this time.
Senator Durbin has said that they're going to ask Chief Justice John Roberts to come testify about judicial ethics. Does the White House think that that would be a useful thing for the justice to go do?
I'm going to leave leave that to Congress to deal with. We're just not going to comment from here.
And then top donors from the president's 2020 campaign have been invited to D.C. to meet with him next week. As it seems a campaign decision is approaching at some time, can you kind of lay out how the president plans to separate his role as a political candidate versus his day job here?
So first, I'm not going to comment on 2024 or potential plans or whatever is going to happen in 2024. As you know, we follow the Hatch Act here in this administration. What I will say is that any announcement or anything that that is related to 2024 certainly will not come from here. Go ahead, Michael.
Thanks, Marie. Back on the budget, one of the items that House Republicans are pushing is to take back this $80 billion that has been marked for the IRS. I'm just wondering how important this is to the president. I know he's talked about it, but how important is it to him? Is it something that he'd be willing to give up to get a budget deal?
So again, we're going to look at the impacts of this blueprint, this plan that Speaker McCarthy and MAGA Republicans put forth. Not going to speak to specific items in their plan. What I can say more broadly, the 22% spending cuts is going to hurt American families. Think about veterans, you think about Meals on Wheels, you think about education, you think about law enforcement. That's going to hurt everyday families who are trying to make ends meet. Not going to go into piecemeal of the plan. Again, we're going to take a look at it and see what the impacts of it will be to the American people. I know we have to wrap. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.
Just invite the president to join us anytime.
Yeah, my calves were burning. We're ready.
Let's do it. About 1 minute. 1 minute to get some more information. I took a knee over.
Where was I? I was there with you at Richmond. Literally, look, from that day in that presser, look at this line, tan line.
My photographer and I, we made our way around to the opposite side, but even then,
I was like trying to avoid network news.
Responding to an area of lights and sirens, traffic, and we were at 30th and Franklin, just down the road, and that's when we saw another extremely heavy police presence of about a dozen to 2 dozen officers. And we're hoping we are about to get another update here about the situation.
All right, the information I'm about to Commander, give you is preliminary information and subject to change as the investigation progresses. So today at around 12:40 p.m. approximately, the Indiana Crime Guns Task Force was engaged in an investigation with the Lawrence Police Department on a shooting incident that occurred in Lawrence's jurisdiction. They encountered a potential suspect in that shooting, driving a vehicle with a passenger in the car as well. The officers attempted to stop this vehicle at 30th and Post. The suspect driver and the suspect passenger fled in the vehicle westbound on 30th Street. On 2 separate occasions, task force members attempted to do a precision intervention technique, which is to spin the car out to stop the pursuit. That was unsuccessful. In approximately the 8600 block of East 30th Street, the suspect turned south into a business parking lot. That parking lot had a dead end on the east side of the building into a 6-foot fence. Suspect went off-road in the gap between the business and the residence on the south side of that business. The vehicle became lodged. At that point, there was an exchange of gunfire between the suspect and our officers. 4 officers shot at the suspect. There is 1 shooting suspect who is deceased on the scene. He's a 46-year-old male. 2 officers sustained gunshot wounds. They are in stable condition at Eskenazi Hospital and are expected to recover. One rifle, AR-15 type rifle, is with the suspect who is deceased on the scene. One of the police cars is riddled with bullets in both the hood, the side of the car, the grill, and both the front and back windshields. The passenger in this vehicle fled from the scene and was apprehended a short while later near the location by members of the task force. He has been transported to IMPD headquarters for questioning. The officers were equipped with body-worn cameras. We have not watched those cameras, so I can't tell you what's on there. I'm here today with Commander Thomas of the IMPD Investigations Division and our partners with the ATF Group Supervisor Christopher Knotts. They don't have any statements to give at this particular time, but the Indiana Crime Guns Task Force is a collaborative effort between Central Indiana law enforcement agencies with the sole purpose of identifying and removing illegally possessed and used weapons in our community. Every single day, these task force members from agencies throughout Central Indiana, not just in Marion County, Carmel, Fishers, Lawrence, Boone County, Zionsville, the ATF, are all engaged and they have one mission: to make our community safer and to protect them from people who on a daily basis use firearms against their neighbors. We are fed up with it. The community should be fed up with it, and we have two officers that are lucky to be alive today, and they're doing exactly what we want them to do, despite all the odds, despite everything that's stacked up against them, despite all the criticism they take every single day. They put on the uniform today and went out to get the people who are terrorizing our neighborhoods. We all owe them a debt of gratitude.
Can you ask a question, Assistant Chief?
Yes.
The weapon used obviously would put you at war with this person. Can you just remind us, basically, you've seen the pictures, you've seen the vehicle. Those officers came to work today. They didn't come to go to war, but they found themselves at war with this individual. Can you just talk about the weapon and what they came under, the assault that they came under?
Well, based on just what I've been able to see, we're lucky today. The bullets went through the metal of the car. There's a part of the side of the car that's peeled back. That's how powerful of a weapon those officers are up against. Now, I don't know the type of weapon. I don't know the caliber of the round. I don't know any of that right now. That'll be all part of the investigation. That's why our partners from the ATF are here. They're going to get the serial number from that gun. They're going to do an emergency trace, and we're going to know where this weapon came from, hopefully in short order. How did this person get a hold of this weapon and, to use against not only us, but our community members.
Chief Bailey, we're getting word that the officers were transported by possibly a red truck or somebody else. How were the officers transported to the hospital? The
officers were transported, self-transported by other officers. They were put in the back of police cars, which is a thing that we're doing now when our officers are shot. And if we know they don't need to be stabilized on scene, and we have the ability to get them to the hospital quicker, that's how they were transported in the back of a police car today.
Obviously, you got a bit emotional.
What the suspect was wanted for outside of warrants?
No, he wasn't necessarily wanted for warrants. This was an ongoing investigation in cooperation with the Lawrence Police Department and the Indiana Crime Guns Task Force. That investigation is still ongoing, so I wouldn't expect to get more information on that one until the Lawrence Police Department has, completed their investigation.
Obviously, it's a bit.
How many rounds were fired by the suspect, and is there any reason to believe that the weapon that was used had an auto sear attached to it?
I don't know the question about the auto sear or the conversion device, and I can't give you an account, but there were multiple shots.
Obviously, Chief Bailey, you're emotional talking about what happened today. As a fellow officer, when you see these types of incidents, what goes through your mind?
Well, Number, the first thing is I went for prayer to make sure that they get to go home to their families tonight for just doing a job. They don't deserve to be targeted. But then it was frustration, both for them and our community. We're all tired of this. We're all tired of the violence. I don't know what's happened. I can't put my finger on it. I know that our officers and detectives every single day have a mission, and the number one priority for us is to stop violent crime. But we need help. We cannot do this alone. The community has to hold themselves accountable. We took a rifle off of a juvenile in downtown Indianapolis this weekend. Did no one notice? No family members, no cousins, no nieces, nephews, no other friends said, hey, don't take that gun downtown? But the first question we always get is, what are you police doing about all this? Well, my next question is, what is the community doing about this? Because we need their help. If they know something's happening, they see this juvenile with an assault type or AK-47 type rifle, and you're not stopping that person from going down, you're complicit. You're complicit in the violence that's happening, and it's unacceptable.
Is people still being told to avoid this area at this point? What's still blocked off that people should know if they're heading home from work today?
Yeah, we're going to be here for some time. We're going to, Crime Lab is going to be doing their thing. The Marion County Prosecutor's Office also has a representative, as is always the case at officer-involved shooting incidents. So it's going to take some time to do that. It's going to be investigated by the Critical Incident Response Team. At the same time, the Internal Affairs Bureau will be conducting a parallel investigation about internal things that'll go at the same time. The process will conduct a review. We'll release a critical incident video in the coming weeks to show exactly what happened. We'll have updates as we go along throughout the day. And one thing I do need to tell you, at 3:30 today, the Chief of Police and the Mayor will provide some comments at Eskenazi Hospital. 3:30 today, they'll provide some comments at the hospital.
Is there any chance you would get that video out earlier?
No, we have our process. We're going to walk through our process like we do every single time, because it's important for us to be consistent on that. We have one prior officer-involved shooting. That video will be coming out fairly soon. So we're going to walk through our process like we always do. It's important that we maintain a process.
What's that perimeter on road closures, just so people know? Do you know that?
I don't know exactly, okay. But I can tell you between Post Road and Franklin, it's shut down for sure.
Right around 30th to 38th?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry.
Just to recap, this was an AR-style rifle that was found. Is that?
That's my understanding. I haven't gotten that close to you. That's how it was described to me. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Bailey.
También está el presidente de la Cámara de Representantes y los están acompañando con los ministros que estarán en esa reunión de gabinete también.
Así es, ya llegaron, ahí está el canciller Álvaro Leiva, el embajador de la embajada, y pues también es importante destacar que no va a ser esta noche de gabinete de presidente de España, también el secretario de Seguridad Nacional, y pues será una comitiva por ambas partes bastante robusta y bastante poderosa. Las dos delegaciones tienen asientos de muy alto
Nosotros regresamos a la reunión, por los detalles de la prensa.
Bueno, habló John Blanca y dijo esto. Reciban allá, por favor. Reciban allá.
Espero que, oiga, aló. No hay posibilidad.